Good evening. I'm Dora Salm, Performing Arts Librarian at the Greenwich Library, and welcome to tonight's performance of A Night Out with Friends, Play with Your Food's Love Note performances. Matters of the heart can get a little complicated sometimes, but we know that you are going to love these delightful plays just in time for Valentine's Day. Thank you to JIB Productions for being our guest artists this evening. Thank you to the Friends of the Greenwich Library, and thank you to the Rye Art Center of Rye, New York. It's been great sponsoring with our friends from across state lines. This is our very first partnership together, and we hope it's the collaboration, many more. Thank you also to all of you spending your Thursday evening with us. Here's a few reminders and housekeeping tips about tonight's program. This program is a webinar format of Zoom. All attendees are in listen and view only mode. We can't see or hear the attendees, and attendees cannot see or hear each other, but we know you're out there, and we've got more than 400 of theater lovers registered tonight. Following our performance, we will have an audience talkback in the Q&A session with Carol Schweid, JIB Productions Artistic Director, and all of the performers who you're going to see this evening. Please post any questions in the Q&A section of your Zoom toolbar. In most cases, those that can be found at the bottom of your screen. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible. This program will run approximately an hour in length. A recorded version of this program will be made available soon and can be found on the Greenwich Library YouTube channel for a limited time only. Please feel free to visit the Greenwich Library calendar at www.greenwichlibrary.org for more interesting, innovative, and enriching programs. Before I head backstage myself, I'd like to introduce Adam Levy, our partner for this evening and the Executive Director of the Rye Art Center. Adam, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Dora. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's event. We are so happy to co-sponsor this performance with Greenwich Library and also hope for many more in the future, and invite everyone to check out the Rye Art Center online. We are a community-driven art center with plenty of programs for all ages in all areas of the arts, serving multiple communities. I also want to thank you for supporting live theater, and I hope you enjoy the show. So to get things started, I'd like to hand it over now to the Artistic Director of JIB Productions, Carol Schweid.
Thank you, Adam. I'm Carol Schweid. I am the Artistic Director of JIB Productions, better known to many of you as Play With Your Food. And I'm sure many of you out there have seen our lunchtime performances of one-act plays. Now, during this pandemic, we are going to be doing things a little differently thanks to our wonderful partners. And we'll be doing our readings virtually. Now, we know it's not the same as being together in person, but we love being able to connect with you. And the silver lining is the fact that we can reach a much larger audience going virtual, and that's a lot of fun for us. So tonight's performance will be celebrating love, getting ready for Valentine's Day. All kinds of love, old love, new love, love of food, love of places. It's all fodder for theater. And after these readings, after our 4 pieces, we're going to invite all the actors to come back and we'll have ourselves a nice talk back. So to get things started, first up, a play, an older couple is looking back on how it all began. The play is called I Was Fine Until You Walked Into the Room by Rich Orloff. Take it away.
I know it was a naughty thing to do, but I decided not to tell anyone my shrink was on vacation. I mean, in those days, you didn't even tell anyone you were seeing a shrink. And I worked hard in that office. There were no computers then. And every time some bozo executive wanted to change one word in a letter, I had to retype the whole thing. That hour away from work helped me get through the week. So, even if my therapist was away, I knew that a break from my desk was therapeutic.
I just finished a meeting with my lawyer. Now, my lawyer has 2 clocks in his office. I think that this was so regardless of where he was standing, he could talk long enough to bill you for another quarter of an hour. Now, I don't even remember what the meeting was about. Oh, yes, I do. It was about a quarter of an hour too long.
I drove to my therapist's neighborhood so that, if someone found me playing hooky, at least I was playing hooky in the right neighborhood. I took a walk and passed an art gallery I had passed dozens of times, but never had the time to look in. Today, I had the time.
Well, after my stupid meeting with my stupid lawyer, I needed to blow off some steam before I got into my stupid car. It's an old Ford. I passed by this art gallery. I had never gone into one, probably because I knew what was in it, art. Not sure why I went in this time. Or something in my head just said, go in, go in. And I was tired of arguing, even with myself.
This guy entered the room. I got a little anxious, not because I was particularly attracted or not attracted to him. I had just liked being alone, staring at paintings that were making no sense whatsoever to me. They kind of symbolized my life at the time.
There was this girl in the room, very cute, in a I don't really think I'm cute kind of a way. I mean, I don't want her to think that I came into the gallery just to look at her. So I started to look at the paintings. I have to be honest with you, she was cuter than the paintings.
I thought, a guy who likes art without being dragged into a gallery by a woman? He must be an art critic, or maybe gay. Being gay had just started being trendy then.
So I am looking at this painting, which looks like an explosion in a paint factory. And then I look at the price and suddenly I feel like exploding.
The boy who stares at that painting. He looks like he's completely bored. Yep, he's an art critic, probably a gay art critic.
I think I'd like to talk to her. But what should I say? I mean, I always hated having to come up with a pickup line, a good one. I mean, come on, stop pressuring yourself. You give yourself a stroke and your doctor charges you even more than your lawyer. All you have to do is to come up with something smart, witty, friendly, not forced, not clumsy, not overbearing, and totally irresistible. But what brilliant, engaging thing can I possibly say that would want to make her want to have a conversation with me?
Hi.
Okay, what to do? I could ignore him. I could talk to him. I need to think of something quick before he thinks I'm weird. But what should I say? What should I say? What should I say?
Hi.
My turn already? I don't have a follow-up. Oh God, I need to start a conversation. I need to find a conversation topic that's not dull, it's not pretentious, and not prone to misinterpretation, and that shows a keen perception of the world around me.
Nice day.
I have no idea if this is a nice day or not. The second you entered the room, I suffered an instant lobotomy. Why can't you be like my last boyfriend who acted like I wasn't there? Wait, did I just think boyfriend? I don't even know this guy. Do I want to say something? Yes, I want to say something. Quick, think of something before it's no longer a nice day and you have to start from scratch.
Very nice day.
Well, we've exhausted that topic. Okay. What's next? What's next? I better introduce a topic where I just don't get frantic every time it's my turn to say something. Something I know something about, something that has a spark to it.
So,
Well, at least it was a good start.
He's kind of shy. I like that. Okay, it's up to me. I have to show him I'm strong enough to start a conversation. And I will.
So,
Well, at least we are evenly matched. Oh, come on, think, Pete, think. You're in an art gallery. Talk about painting. I mean, no, just say something that's simple and smart, something that implies I'm aware of contemporary art.
that painting looks like vomit.
No, that wasn't it.
Well, he's not an art critic.
Well, after a statement like that, I mean, come on, Pete, you have to show that you're not an insensitive jerk. I mean, quick, something. Think of something that's not jerky.
Now, what do you think?
Oh my God. He just asked for my opinion. Quick, have an opinion.
I agree.
I didn't sound too eager to agree, did I?
Mm.
I didn't sound too eager. I don't think I sounded too eager. I mean, maybe it's okay to sound eager. Next week, I'm scheduling 2 sessions with my shrink. I'm exhausted.
I have no idea what to say next. But she sure is cute. Well, maybe I can just propose to her and we can figure out all the rest later. Oh, well, no. Maybe I should just leave. I should just leave. A lot of great men have lived alone.
Why does he keep looking at me like he wants to hear what I have to say? What's wrong with him? Okay. Move the conversation along, Helen. Helen. That's it. Find out his name. Find some clever and conniving way to force him to tell you his name.
My name's Helen.
I know how to respond to that one. Finally, I know what to do. What was her name again? I forget.
My name's Pete.
I think I'm beginning to relax.
I need a drink.
Nice to meet you, Pete.
Don't rush to conclusions.
Where the hell did that come from?
I think he was making a joke. Was that a joke? Should I laugh? Show you have a sense of humor. Give him a laugh.
Oh, God, I am losing her. Oh, come on, Pete, say something that reveals, I mean, what a great cat you are. I mean, the cat you could be. Say something that illustrates that look, even though you were tongue-tied sometimes, and underneath it all, that come on, you're warm and you're caring and you're decent and you're a fun guy. For once in your life, Pete, say something that reveals you. You don't want to lose her. And you don't want her to look at you the way so many other women have done before you. Say something that reveals you. Nobody but you. This is your moment. Now.
51 years and 3 months later.
At a small banquet hall in a nice restaurant.
Filled with 4 generations that started with 2 people.
My wife and I told everyone the story of how we met.
And when we got to that moment in the story,
Everyone leaned forward.
their eyes and ears wide open,
As they waited to hear what brilliant thing I told the woman who became my wife.
I haven't the slightest idea. Do you remember?
Nope.
The only thing I remember is that you were easy to talk to.
I remember how you looked at me,
How did I look at you?
like I was someone worth talking to.
Really?
Yeah, like the way you're looking at me right now.
And I remember you looked at me like someone that was worth listening to. That is what I remember.
So, there you are. Anything else you'd like to add?
It was a moment to come up with something memorable, something to encapsulate the wisdom I'd gained over a half-century of marriage to the woman I love.
I'm hungry. Let's eat.
Sounds good to me.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Tibor Feldman, Eileen Lawless, Andrea Green, and Joe Delafield. Now, as we know, love comes in many different forms. Now, I don't know about you, but during this pandemic, some of the time I have been thinking about food. My favorite restaurants, my favorite meals, places I'm just dying to go back to again to eat. So who better than Julia Child to reveal how her own love affair with food and France began? Here is an excerpt from My Life in France, written by Julia Child.
I had the supreme good fortune to study with a remarkably able group of chefs in Paris. From them, I learned why good French food is an art and why it makes such sublime eating. This careful approach, it will result in a magnificent burst of flavor, a thoroughly satisfying meal, perhaps even a life-changing experience. And such was the case with the saumonière I ate at La Couronne on my very first day in France. It was an epiphany. Having disembarked at Le Havre, my husband Paul and I sat for 2 hours smoking and yawning until our car finally rolled off the ship. We wedged ourselves into our Buick and we headed toward Paris. Oh, there were no billboards, just the earthy, smoky smells, the curve of the landscape, and the bright greenness of the fields. Oh, without even knowing it, I was already falling in love. At 12:30, we slid into Rouen, passing its famous cathedral, still pockmarked from battle, but still magnificent with the stained glass windows, and we rolled to a stop in Vermarché, the square where Joan of Arc had met her fiery fate. There we were directed to the restaurant La Couronne, the Crown. Oh, It was warm inside, and at the far end was this enormous fireplace with a rotary spit on it, which something was cooking. And we were greeted by the maitre d', who spoke with Paul as if they were old friends. And then he led us to our table, and we overheard two businessmen asking questions of the waiter, who was answering them in very great length. "What are they talking about?" I whispered to Paul. And he whispered back, "He's telling them about the chicken they ordered, how it was raised, how it will be cooked, and which wines will be best with it." "Wine," I said, "at lunch?" Well, being a gal from Pasadena, I never did drink much wine other than some Buck 19 California Burgundy, and certainly not at lunchtime. Now suddenly the room, it was filled with this wonderful intermixing aromas that I recognized, but I couldn't quite name. And well, it was something oniony. Now, shallots being sauteed in fresh butter. What is a shallot, I wondered. Oh, my stomach, it was gurgling with hunger. We began our lunch with oysters on the half shell. I was used to oysters from Massachusetts, which I never did much care for. But this platter of Portuguese oysters had a sensational, briny flavor and a smooth texture that was entirely new and surprising. They were served with little rounds of pain de seigle, a pale rye bread with a spread of unsalted butter. Oh, I discovered that, as with wine, the French have special regions that produce individually flavored butters. Well, beurre de Signy is a fine, light table butter, and that's the one that we used to spread deliciously on our rounds. Now, after consulting the waiter, Paul decided to order for us the sole meunière. It arrived whole, large, flat Dover sole, perfectly browned in a sputtering butter sauce with a sprinkling of chopped parsley on the top. Oh, the waiter carefully placed the platter in front of us, and he stepped back and he said, "Bon appetit!" Oh, I closed my eyes and inhaled. Oh, I took that forkful of fish to my mouth and took a bite, and the flesh of that sole was so delicate, with a light but distinctive taste of the ocean that blended marvelously with the brown butter. Oh, it was a morsel of perfection. Oh. Well, back home for fish, we had broiled mackerel on Friday dinner, and a poached salmon on the 4th of July, and a pan trout when we went camping in the Sierras. But that day at La Couronne, I had a dining experience of a higher order. Along with our meal, we happily downed a whole crisp white wine from the Loire Valley. Another revelation. Oh, next came the salade vert. It was laced with a lightly acidic vinaigrette. Oh, just so wonderful. Oh, and I tasted my first real baguette. Oh, it was crisp, with a crown crust giving way to a slightly chewier, rather loosely textured, pale yellow interior with a faint reminder of the yeast and wheat. Oh, after all was finished, we followed up with a leisurely dessert of fromage blanc, and we ended with a strong, dark café filtre, a most distinctive dark brew. Oh, the aroma. We were stuffed when we were finished. We floated out the front door of the restaurant into the brilliant sunshine and the cool air. Oh, our first lunch together in France had been absolute perfection. It was the most exciting meal of my life. In all the years since that remarkable meal, I have yet to lose the feelings of wonderment and excitement that it inspired in me. Oh, thinking back on it now, it reminds me that the pleasure of the table and of life are infinite. Toujours bon appetit!
Thank you so much. I am now so hungry, I can hardly stand it. Oh my goodness, Kimberly Squires. Well, there is food, and there is France, and there is young love. On to our next piece. This is the day that Samuel has become a man. He's gotten through the Torah readings, and he's gotten through his crazy relatives, and now he is on the dance floor. The play is called Bar Mitzvah Boy, and it is written by Samara Siskind. Enjoy.
Ow, you hit me.
Your hand was on my butt.
My hand was nowhere near your butt.
Come on, Samuel, your hand was totally touching my butt.
1, I wouldn't touch your butt with a 10-foot pole. 2, even if I did touch your butt, it's no reason to resort to physical violence.
Well, if your hand goes anywhere near my butt again, I'm cutting it off.
Oh, that's nice. I'm sure they'll let you off on the popular "he touched my butt" defense. Can we just finish this dance already? Everyone's watching. My face is stinging. I can't believe you hit me. It better not leave a mark.
I didn't hit you that hard. Don't be a wuss.
Don't be a ruffian.
Ruffian?
Savage, bully, barbarian.
Oh, you're so smart. This is a party, not honors English. God, how long is this song?
It just started.
You know I'm only dancing with you because my mom made me.
I'm only dancing with you for the photo op.
Just because it's your birthday doesn't mean you're better than anyone else.
It's not just my birthday. It's my bar mitzvah.
Yeah, so?
So? I'm a man today.
Yeah, right.
I am.
I see no man before me. I see a dork in a beanie.
It's not a beanie. It's a yarmulke, a religious head covering.
Yeah, that makes it so much cooler.
I'll have you know, bar mitzvah literally translates to son of commandment and implies responsible male.
Wow, big whoop.
Did you hear me read from the Torah?
Yeah, and I've got news for you. The Torah is a snorer.
You weren't impressed?
I was ready to hit the Dora.
Gee, thanks.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give you a 4.
All right. You didn't get it. You didn't like it. I get it. Why did you even come then, if you hate me so much?
Hello? We've lived next door to each other since we were like 4, Samuel. My whole family's here. We've had it marked on our calendar since August.
You could have gotten out of it. You get out of everything else your parents want you to do.
Well, maybe I didn't want to get out of it.
Really? Why?
No reason.
There's gotta be a reason. Tell me.
Ow! That's my foot!
Why do you want to come, huh? Say it.
God, Samuel, what's the big deal?
Come on, Stacy, just give it up. Tell me.
Okay, fine! You invited Kyle Fisher and Justin Flint.
I didn't invite them. Mom did. She's in PTA with Mrs. Fisher and did Habitat for Humanity with Justin's mom.
Do I look like I care? The point is they're here.
So what? You're dating them both?
Samuel! Hello, I'm 12.
But you like them both.
One of them likes me.
Which one?
I don't know.
If you don't know which one likes you, how do you know either of them like you?
Geez, Samuel, you're like so clueless. God. One of them is my secret admirer.
Your secret admirer.
Valentine's Day was last week, and I got a dozen pink carnations in my locker.
And do you think one of those dirtwads did it?
When I found the flowers in my locker, they were across the hall, looking at me, smiling.
Oh, and that's like proof.
Shut up.
You shut up.
Well, at least I got something. What'd you get for Valentine's Day? Oh, let me guess, a big heart-shaped cookie your mom made you?
You're so dumb. It was a Cupid.
They're looking over here. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm so gonna die.
One, you're not gonna die. And two, they're not even looking at you. They're looking at my cousin Sharon. She's 17 and a 34 double D.
Go ask them which one did it.
Which one did what?
Put the flowers in my locker.
What? No way.
Come on, Samuel, please.
I'm not talking to those Neanderthals.
Why not?
Because one, I'm not your little messenger boy. And two, I'm enjoying my dance.
One, what is with the 1 and 2 everything? God, and 2, you're just jealous.
Of who? Those guys? Please.
Your hands on my butt!
Sorry, it slipped.
That's it from Mitzvah Boy. Son of commandment or not, my dad is gonna kick your ass.
Wait, Stacy. I'm sorry. Look, if you leave me up here by myself, Mom's gonna make me dance with my little sister. It'll be more embarrassing than that life-size photo of me in the lobby. Please?
Fine, but only because I like this song. Don't touch me. You're a really bad dancer.
I've taken dance lessons at Arthur Murray since October.
You should get your money back.
They never got to fast tempo.
Seriously, you look like Milton Smithel when he had that epileptic seizure during bio.
Yeah, well, you're no Fergie either.
I'm sure Kyle and Justin would disagree.
Yeah, well, I know dogs that are smarter than Kyle and Justin, put together.
Samuel!
Like they could even figure out your locker combination. And how would they even know that pink carnations are your favorite flower?
How'd you know pink carnations are my favorite flower? Wait, it was you, wasn't it?
No.
Samuel.
I mean, yeah, kind of. Kyle and Justin saw me put them in there, hence the staring.
Why?
They thought they were trick flowers that were going to squirt you in the face.
No, I mean, why'd you do it?
I don't know. Kind of obvious, don't you think?
I haven't been very nice to you.
Yeah, that's true, Dad.
Well, then why?
When we were in 3rd grade, Bobby Proctor wanted to fight me after school and I wouldn't let him cheat off of me. When he swung the first punch, you stepped in and kicked him in the balls. He never touched me again after that.
I don't remember that.
I never forgot it.
Well, thanks. I mean, for the flowers.
You're welcome. You know I'm not popular or cool enough for you or anything, but I just wanted to do something nice to pay you back for that day. And, well, because you deserve it.
Who knew Samuel Rosenbaum could be so sweet?
I'm a man today. I've matured.
Samuel,
Yeah.
your hands on my butt again.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you so much, Vivian Shammy and Alex Kerr and director Brian Carter. Well, last up is a unique piece by America's most notable humorist, Mark Twain. Join us as he takes us back to the Garden of Eden for the Diaries of Adam and Eve. Enjoy.
Saturday. I am almost a whole day old now. I arrived yesterday. I feel like an experiment. I feel exactly like an experiment.
Monday. The new creature with the long hair is a good deal in the way. It's always hanging around and following me about. I don't like this. I'm not used to company. I wish it would stay with the other animals.
Tuesday. I followed the other experiment around yesterday at a distance to see what it might be for, but I was not able to make out. I think it is a man. I had never seen a man, but it looked like one, and I feel sure that is what it is. I realize that I feel more curiosity about him than about any of the other reptiles. It has no hips. It tapers like a carrot. When it stands, it spreads itself apart like a derrick. Maybe it is architecture. I was afraid of it at first and started to run every time it turned around, but by and by, I found it was only trying to get away. So after that, I was not timid anymore, but tracked it along for several hours, which made it nervous and unhappy. At last, it climbed a tree. I waited a while, then gave it up and went home.
Sunday, pulled through. This morning, found the new creature trying to clod apples out of that forbidden tree.
Tuesday, it is up in the tree again, resting apparently. It looks to me like a creature that is more interested in resting than in anything else.
Sunday, pulled through.
Wednesday, it has low tastes and is not kind. When I went there earlier this evening, it had crept down from the tree and was trying to catch the little speckled fishes that play in the pool, and I had to clod it to make it go up the tree again and let them alone. One of the clods took it at the back of the ear, and it used language. It gave me a thrill, for it was the first time I had ever heard speech, except my own. I did not understand the words, but they seemed expressive. When I found it could talk, I felt a new interest in it, for I love to talk. I talk all day and in my sleep too.
I wish it would not talk. It's always talking, right at my shoulder, right at my ear.
All week, I tagged around after him and tried to get acquainted. I had to do the talking because he was shy, but I didn't mind it. He seemed pleased to have me around, and I used the sociable we a good deal because it seemed to flatter him to be included.
Monday. The new creature says its name is Eve. I have no objections. Says it is to call it by it when I want it to come. I said it was superfluous then. This word evidently raised me in its respect, and indeed it is a large, good word and will bear repetition. And it says it is not an it is a she. It's all one to me. What she is nothing to me, if she would but go by herself and not talk.
Tuesday. He took no interest in my name. I tried to hide my disappointment, but I suppose I did not succeed. I went away and sat on the moss bank with my feet in the water. It is where I go when I hunger for companionship, someone to look at, someone to talk to. It is not enough. That lovely white body painted there in the pool. But it is something, and something is better than utter loneliness.
Sunday, pulled through.
We are getting along very well indeed now, and getting better acquainted. He does not try to avoid me anymore, which is a good sign.
She has taken to beseeching me to stop going over the falls. Says it makes her shudder. I wonder why. I went over the falls in a barrel. Not satisfactory to her. Went over in a tub. Still not satisfactory. I am too much hampered here. What I need is a change of scene.
Wednesday. During the last day or two, I have taken all the work of naming things off his hands, for he has no gift in that line. When the dodo came along, he thought it was a wildcat. I saw it in his eye, but I saved him. I just spoke up in a quite natural way with pleased surprise and said, "Well, I do declare if there isn't the dodo."
I get no chance to name anything. The new creature names everything that comes along before I get into protest. There's the dodo, for instance. It says, the moment one looks at it, one sees at a glance that it looks like a dodo. Dodo? Looks no more like a dodo than I do.
Friday. my first sorrow. Yesterday he avoided me and seemed to wish I would not talk to him. I thought there was some mistake, for how could it be that he could feel unkind toward me when I had not done anything? But at last it seemed true, so I went away and sat lonely in the place where I first saw him. But every little thing spoke of him, and my heart was very sore. When night came, I could not bear the lonesomeness and went to the new shelter which he has built to ask him what I had done that was wrong and how could I mend it and get back his kindness again. But he put me out in the rain. It was my first sorrow.
Friday, built me a shelter against the rain, but could not have it to myself in peace. The new creature intruded. When I tried to put it out, it shed water out of the circles it looks with, wiped it away with the back of its paws, and made a noise such as some of the other animals make when they're in distress. She's taken up with a snake now. The other animals are glad, for she was always bothering them. And I'm glad, because the snake talks. This enables me to get a rest.
Sunday. It is pleasant again now, and I am happy. But those were heavy days. I do not think of them when I can help it. I tried to get him some of those apples, but I cannot learn to throw straight. I failed, but I think the good intention pleased him. They are forbidden, and he says I shall come to harm, but so I come to harm through pleasing him. Why shall I care for that harm?
Wednesday. About an hour after sunup, as I was riding through a flowery plain where thousands of animals were grazing or slumbering or playing with each other according to their wont, all of a sudden they broke into a tempest of frightful noises. And in one moment, the plain was in a frantic commotion. Every beast was destroying its neighbor. I knew what it meant. Eve had eaten that fruit, and death was come into the world. I looked up, and there was Eve. I was not sorry she came, for there were but meager pickings here, and she had brought me some of those apples. I was obliged to eat them, and I was so hungry. It was against my principles, but I find that principles have no real force except when one is well fed. She came curtained in boughs and bunches of leaves, and when I asked her what she meant by such nonsense and snatched them away and threw them down, she tittered and blushed. I'd never seen a person titter and blush before, and to me it seemed unbecoming and idiotic. She said I myself would soon know why it was thus. This was correct. Hungry as I was, I laid down the apple half-eaten, certainly the best one I ever saw considering the lateness of the season, and arrayed myself in the discarded boughs and branches. And then I spoke to her with some severity and ordered her to go and get some more and not to make such a spectacle of herself. She did it. Afterward, we crept down to where the wildebeest battle had been, collected some of the skins to patch together a couple of suits proper for public occasions. They're uncomfortable, it's true, but stylish. That's the main point about clothes. I find she is a good deal of a companion. I see I should be lonesome and depressed without her. Another thing, she says it is ordered that we work for our living hereafter. She will be useful. I will superintend.
Friday. I tried once more to persuade him to stop going over the falls. That was because the fire which I had discovered revealed to me a new passion, quite new and distinctly different from love, grief, and those others which I had already discovered. Fear. It was horrible.
Friday. Perhaps I ought to remember that she is very young, a mere girl, and make allowances. She is all interest, eagerness, vivacity. The world is to her a charm, a wonder, a mystery, a joy. She cannot speak for delight when she finds a new flower. She must pet it and caress it and smell it and talk to it and pour out endearing names upon it. Oh, she is color mad. Brown rocks, yellow sand, gray moss, green foliage, blue sky, the pearl of the dawn. I mean, none of them is of any practical value so far as I can see, but because they have color and majesty, that is enough for her. She loses her mind over them. If she could but quiet down and keep still a couple of minutes at a time, it would be a reposeful spectacle. In that case, I think I could enjoy looking at her. Indeed, I'm sure I could. For I'm coming to realize that she is quite a remarkably comely creature. And once, when she was standing marble white and sun-drenched on a boulder, with her young head tilted back and her hand shading her eyes, watching the flight of a bird in the sky, I recognized that she was beautiful.
After the fall, when I look back, the garden is a dream to me. It was beautiful, surpassingly beautiful, and enchantingly beautiful. And now it is lost, and I shall not see it any more. The garden is lost, but I have found him, and I am content. He loves me as well as he can. I love him with all the strength of my passionate nature, and this, I think, is proper to my youth and sex. If I ask myself why I love him, I find I do not know. I love certain birds because of their song, but I do not love Adam on account of his singing. Oh, his singing sours the milk, but it doesn't matter. I can get used to that kind of milk. It is not on account of his gracious and considerate ways and his delicacy that I love him. No, he has lacks in these regards, but he is well enough just so, and is improving. At bottom, he is good, and I love him for that. But I could love him without it. He is strong and handsome, and I love him for that, and I admire him for that, and I am proud of him. But I could love him without those qualities. I think I love him because he is mine, and he is masculine. There's no other reason, I suppose. This kind of love is not a product of reasonings and statistics. It just comes. No one knows whence, and cannot explain itself. And it doesn't need to.
10 years later, after all these years, I see that I was mistaken about Eve in the beginning. It is better to live outside the garden with her than inside it without her. At first I thought she talked too much, but now I should be sorry to have that voice fall silent and pass out of my life. Blessed be the goodness of her heart and the sweetness of her spirit.
40 years later, it is my prayer, it is my longing that we may pass from this life together, a longing which shall never perish from the earth, but shall have place in the heart of every woman that loves until the end of time, and it shall be called by my name. But if I must go first, if one must go first, it is my prayer that it shall be I. For life without him would not be life. How could I endure it? This prayer is also immortal and will not cease from being offered up while my race continues. I am the first wife, and in the last wife I shall be repeated.
At Eve's grave, wheresoever she was, there was Eden.
Oh, thank you. Boy, let me introduce our actors. Eileen Lawless, Tibor Feldman, Kimberly Squires, Vivian Shammy. Wait a minute, I lost Alex. Alex Kerr, Andrea Green, Joe Delafield. And we're going to bring in Brian Carter, who directed Bar Mitzvah Boy. Wow. Oh my goodness, this was wonderful. Thank you so much. Boy, oh boy. Wow, that's very moving. All right, I agree. I totally agree. It's I'm just giving you feedback from being an audience. It's just, that was quite wonderful. All right, so we're going to start. Sometimes we go back to the first play, and I have a question, I think, that we'll start out with Tibor and Eileen. And that is, in a sense, this is a story about a long-term relationship. You two have never met.
I love acting.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it? You've never met, and we've been rehearsing on computers. So where do you go to build up that wonderful sense of that you've known each other for 40 years? How do you do that? How do you think about that? Anything to say?
I think this is love. The writing made it quite easy, but more importantly, I think having a partner who is present and connected, and I can, in the few times we got together and rehearsed on Zoom, we've never met in person. We've never stood on stage together and looked into each other's eyes. I can't tell if I'm looking into his eyes on Zoom. I'm just looking and seeing. But as in any character, I draw on experiences of love, and I try to connect with my partner. And Tibor made it very easy for me. It was lovely working with you.
He's very present.
Yeah,
no, it's really beautifully played. Lovely, Eileen. What have you got to add to that, Tibor? Anything?
Well, the whole work was easy but tricky, and of course all of us with Joe and Andrea, that because really there's about, the real action is about 10 lines. Hi, so like vomit. It doesn't look like vomit. You want to eat something, you want to, and that's the thing. But when you go back to those moments, and the author was able to write in all of the complex psychological things that I don't know how it actually came off, because we were kind of present with this thing, the inner thinking of it, but it was I hope it came off well. It was very interesting to work that out, and to keep our attention. Of course, our attention is not the audience attention, but it was a lot of fun.
It was fun. And this is a new play. This play I don't think has ever been done before.
I know.
Because
there's something for all of us, living with Zoom, talking to my children in Holland, and a sense of intimacy, and we've cried on it, and we've had a memorial last night for my aunt, passed. She was 97 years old, and I saw my cousins, some of which I haven't seen in 30 years, and the connection is there. So,
wow. Well, it's very effective, and it played beautifully. Yeah, and the coming in and out of the youngsters and all of that kind of.
I loved our youngsters.
Really worked. He had this idea for the playwright, and then kind of rewrote it for Zoom. And one of the things we do with Play With Your Food is that we reach out to some of our favorite playwrights and sort of say to them, what do you got? You got anything new? Send it to us. And he did. So that's a blast to be the first people to do this. And I hope he's listening. I think he is. And I think he'll like it. Well played, indeed. All right, I'm going to go on to Kim now, and we'll just talk a little about what it's like to take a piece of literature and bring it to life. What's the tricky part on that, Kimster? Not to put you on the spot or anything. Oh, you're muted.
See what I mean? Now, I was just going to say, I noticed in the chat that someone had said, can you talk about the difficulties you've encountered in this format? So that question is great for me. Because obviously I just didn't unmute myself. And when I was trying to get out at the back end of the piece, I kept clicking the button that was there for stop video, but whatever was happening with things being temperamental, it wasn't taking. So I kept reappearing on the screen. So it was a little tricky and intimidating in that regard. So.
Well, but your natural enthusiasm, which you have as a person and as an actor, really came through. And I sort of got the sense of Julia Child's absolute rampant enthusiasm of this new world that she opened up to. And I think you just accomplished that beautifully.
Well, thank you, dear. I appreciate that.
So
when it's a real figure that we all know and love, you know, it's, or maybe people don't care for, I don't know your opinion, but, you know.
How can you not? She's Julia Child. How can you not?
I actually, you know, doing a little bit of research on her too, I have such a newfound respect for her in other capacities of her life. It wasn't just cooking, you know, so it was interesting and it was fun, and it was to a certain degree too intimidating because, you know, Meryl Streep had brought this to life in film, and Julia Child is really an iconic figure, that sound. To do someone's piece that really is from their own heart and slice of life, you know, can be daunting a little bit.
but right, absolutely. But you rose to the challenge and it was a blast.
Well, thank God I love food and wine. So there you go.
Well done. All right, now I would like to, I'm going to go to gallery here. Okay, now Brian Carter directed Bar Mitzvah Boy. And I would like to talk to Vivian and Alex and Brian about how they worked on the piece. Tell us about that.
Well, when you have two extremely talented young actors, it's very easy. You know, they say directing's what, 95% casting, so it takes care of itself. I'll let you guys talk. I mean, Alex, you're kind of pulling from a little bit of experience because.
Let's hear about Alex, what he did about a month ago, right?
I actually got bar mitzvahed a month ago, so it was pretty good timing for this scene to be like happening.
And your costume is.
This is my bar mitzvah suit.
Yeah, you use what you know. You know, you use what you know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Vivian's attended many of these type. Yes. And
yes,
oh yeah. Well, you know, and also too with the young folks, they're very good with technology. And so that's nice. They sort of teach me, you know.
I thought they played it beautifully, and they got the jokes, and they landed the jokes. We got the humor. Very sophisticated acting, kids. That you should be very pleased with yourselves. That was lovely. What else can we say? What was it?
Carol?
Fun? Yes.
Carol, I have a question from Jim S. about our actor Alex and Vivian, and this is specifically to them. So can I stop
Please
right
do.
here?
Jump in.
So Jim S. asks, how did the bar mitzvah rehearsal work? How was directing virtually different? Guess that would be for you, Brian. And did they know each other before? They acted just like teens, which I think Well, so I don't know if you want to address those specific questions.
Those are
Please
great
do.
questions. Yeah.
Good
those are
question.
great questions. Well, we met. We had one rehearsal in person, socially distanced, wearing masks. Of course, we were very, very safe. They actually, Alex is down in New York, and Vivian's here in Connecticut, so it's nice. We sort of hit both areas, and but we met in a very safe, mutually destination, and then we had a couple rehearsals over Zoom. And I was actually going to put this back on you guys too, because doing comedy, I mean, Zoom, it's weird. You're doing theater, but you're within this frame. You're on camera, and so it's cinema, it's film. And when you're doing comedy, particularly with film, lots of times you don't hear the laughter that
Nothing.
in a live event.
Crickets.
Yeah. Whereas in a live event, you can feed off of it. But I was, is there anything that you would like to comment about that?
I mean, that was probably one of the struggles. Like when I'm acting on a stage, it's easier to like connect with the audience, and you feel more like structured. But I mean, I think it's still fun over Zoom too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And, when we together organically came up, with the dance, I mean, obviously I felt like, we needed to stand, obviously they're at a dance, and, again, it's tough. They're in literally two different locations, but again, it's a lot of using your imagination too, as an actor. So yeah.
It was very well played, and you really got the feeling of what the relationship was. That it was very rich and very well done. So you guys really brung it. Is that what you? Was that cool? Yes. So I thank you. I'd love to spend a few minutes talking about the Mark Twain piece, because I just think that is so beautiful, and you did such a smashing job with it. It was very moving. I was in tears a couple of times. What is it like to you two actors to work on poetry? Because it's a lot more like poetry than actually. So talk a little bit about how you approach that, if you would. Joe, Andrea, you're muted. Joe, you're muted.
There we go. Can you hear me? Yes. Sorry. I love working with the poetry, especially on something like this, because the imagery is just so beautiful. It does a lot of the work for you, and as long as you really paint those pictures in your mind, and when he's talking about the colors and the wildebeest, and especially for these two characters who are experiencing the world for the very first time and no one else has experienced it, everything is so immediate and so exciting. So it's almost automatically kind of energized with that wonder and that sense of awe. And to marry that sort of point of view with the poetry, it really helps take it to the next level. And especially we were talking about all the challenges with Zoom and not having your fellow actors in the room to connect to, or the audience to connect to, and those are real challenges. But when you have language that great, you can sort of dig into that, and that's almost your acting partner in a way.
Wow.
So it's a tool to help stay connected when your acting partner is your little webcam.
Wow, very well said. Beautiful. Andrea, how about you? Eve.
I mean, I second everything Joe said. Spot on. I had a little bit of a stressful start, and I'll tell you that when this was all starting, I was in a totally other area of my home, but my internet was so bad, and I was like, everything was freezing, everything was crazy, and I was like, oh my goodness, what do I do? Should I text Carol? Should I email? But I was like, no, find a new location, set up, maybe, and switch networks. So I did that. And so I came on, this is like different than what we practiced, and everything. So I was just like, okay, hope it works. And gosh, I'm glad I moved.
Well, that's terrifying.
It was stressful, but so that's my answer to the tech question. Like, oh my goodness, just anything can happen in theater, and anything can happen here too. That's like a similarity of the world we're dealing with here. And this this was nerve-wracking in a similar way of like stage jitters, you know, for me. And for this piece, the heightened language, now I'm hearing an echo of myself, and that's disturbing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the heightened language was really helpful, and informed choices, and the rhythm that he has in this writing is just, it's very interesting, and it felt sort of from an old world, but then again it felt really contemporary, and it could be any, you know, it just, I love the play, and it was a real joy to work on with Joe and Carol.
Well, it showed. The way you feel about this really came through. In fact, I'd say the way you felt about all of these plays really came through, and it was a very rich. The work was just beautiful, and it was so filled out with ideas, but the ideas were filled out with kind of a lot of heart, and that's what made it so good.
Hey there, it's me interrupting
Hi,
again.
Dora.
I wanted to address one of our attendees' questions. That
Please do, because I can't see them. I do not have them.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for. Andrea and Joe. She's Anne E. One of our audience members is asking, I love the Adam and Eve piece. The last line was beautiful, but it seemed uncomfortable to have the camera on the two of you at the end. How did Andrea and Joe feel about that?
I'm
Looking
not
at,
sure. Do you meaning just the us remaining on screen for a few seconds longer? Is that what Anne means?
Not sure. I'm reading the question verbatim. I think she's maybe talking about the raw emotion, sort of.
Oh.
that's what we do. That's what professional actors do.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, again, that moment, it is like sort of what I was saying before, like the camera's kind of your acting partner there. And like Carol said, that's sort of what we do. It's about kind of exposing yourself in that way and being, you know, private in a public place. And so that's something I think as actors we're kind of used to. And when we have a moment that's so kind of honest and real and has that true emotion to it, it's kind of exciting for us because there's less you have to manufacture when the writing is that good. And working with Carol and Andrea and people you trust, it makes it feel very kind of safe and okay to do that.
It was interesting and fun to work on these pieces, I'll tell you. It was a pleasure. It's a lot more like doing movie work, I think. Those of you guys who have done a lot of film work, Tibor, I know you've done a ton of it. A lot of that, it's a little more that than stage, but it's a sort of a hybrid, right? Sort of a mutt.
I think this is harder because you usually have a director and they say cut, and you can see people will laugh afterwards if you hit something well. You got a lot of feedback on there. And I think Alex Kerr really hit that. I thought that you know, if we did this thing live, we'd be getting different things, and each time be different because people would be laughing. You'd put a lot more. First of all, you don't look at yourself like we do here. You know, you're not sure where your eyes are. So I thought this was very well done. And one of the things that's happening here that doesn't happen somewhere else is I think the great act, as all of us know, to listen. So listening really comes in a lot. And we don't know what it is you're watching us or how we're listening, but we're forced to listen. It's very, I don't necessarily think it's confidence building that you think you've got this down, but it's very interesting. So all of your feedbacks, I think from the audience would be interesting to hear.
Tibor, on that note, the reviews are coming in and they're all rave reviews. And I thank all of our attendees for wonderful, really wonderful feedback. And John B has a question that's relating to your point. These performances made the most of the limitations of this format. It reinforces that adage that acting happens between the nose and the forehead. I'd not heard that. It was like a radio play with faces. Thanks for a delightful theatrical experience, one that we all miss. oh so
A
much.
radio
Thank you,
play.
John B. It
Thank
was
you,
kind
John
of
B.
like that.
A radio play with faces. That's, I think that's hilarious, but I think it's pretty accurate. I just got a message from my friend Catherine in California. Best one yet. Very good, Julia Child. And how cute is Tibor?
Cute.
I'm just reading. What can I say? From Hartman, we're not getting good. We're just getting a lot of dittos and a lot of good.
I just want to note that I thought the Adam and Eve play, I thought the places Andrea and Joe where you went, I mean, that was the full arc of
Yes.
it was just spot on. Everything, the nuance, the simplicity, the bothersome, the love, it was just spot on. And you explained it very well, that it was poetic, it was written 100 years ago, and yet it's relevant.
Amazing, isn't it?
Thanks,
Thank you so
Tibor.
much. Thank you.
Good
Your
writing,
writing is so good.
Beautiful.
good acting. Wow. Very nice. People are loving this. Oh, Stacy, a woman named Stacy Lewis really liked it. I think she might be related to one of you.
I think everybody loves it. I think this is a rave review. This is a hit.
Lovely.
I wish we could have a cast party.
I do too.
That is
Maybe
one
one
thing.
day.
I
Can
think
we
we
all?
will. We will have a cast party, invite all of our attendees and all of you guys. Do you want to do one more question? And we do have loads of questions, but how about we end with one more? That Mark Twain seemed to really hit this, resonate with a lot of our audience members. Do Joe and Andrea have any thoughts about how Mark Twain decided to end this story about Adam and Eve? I have never really thought about Adam and Eve's potential long-term relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's very moving to me at the end that the idea of not wanting to live without the other, the kind of love there, and that's very touching. And for me, it sort of is very relevant and very like on point for what a lot of people are afraid of right now and have experienced that kind of loss. And it just like, for me, comes all full. Anyway, sorry.
Thank you, Andrea. No, that's beautiful.
Well, I hope those are happy tears and not sad tears. But I know I have happy tears, Carol, because this has been amazing. And this is always one of my favorite programs. And you guys are just really incredible. Like I said, I wish I had a bouquet of roses for all of you.
Yeah.
And I'm getting so many wonderful, wonderful notes from all of our audience members, sending me emails and in our Q&A section. Do you want to perhaps wrap it up? And
I just want to say thank you to our actors for putting their hearts into this work, because that's what makes it so good. And that's what I have to say is thank you.
I concur. And thank you to Carol, Diana, and our wonderful performers. Thank you to Brian for being top-notch director. Thank you for bringing so much artistic presence to our virtual stage. Thank you also to the Friends of Greenwich Library. Thank you to the Rye Arts Center. It was wonderful to partner with you. And like I said, I hope that this is the start of a beautiful relationship. Relationships.
The beginning of
and I hope we can bring you back, if not in person, virtually, but definitely in person in sometime very soon.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody.
Enjoy your Valentine's Day, whoever you celebrate with.
Wonderful.
Goodbye,
you.
everybody. Thank
Lots
you.
of
Loving
loves.
hearts. Thank
Thanks,
you, everybody.